Hey, Joey Starr here for Starr Quality Kitchen. Today I'll be trying out Nissin's hot and spicy fire wok. This is the molten chili chicken flavor. Sounds pretty ominous, huh? Growing up, I've always loved ramen. The problem is that my mom knew nothing about ramen, and I was just a kid, so we used to think that the Manchurian 6-packs for $1 was actually legitimate ramen. Cringe. Obviously, I've since learned that Manchurian is somewhere near the bottom of the barrel, along with cup noodles, and that the quality levels and costs of ramen, both instant and fresh, vary greatly. And now that I know better, I go for the good stuff as much as possible, but I can still enjoy ramen at pretty much any level, which is part of the reason why I'm making this video. The other part is that I've seen Nissin's Fire Wok, which by the way is the same company that makes cup noodles, on the shelves for a few years now, and although I've been curious, I keep passing it by for better ramen. But I keep coming across these reviews talking about how spicy it is. And you know me, I'm not shy when it comes to spice, and I am still building up my tolerance for my inevitable collab with my foodie heroes. So why not give this a shot? Who knows, maybe Nissin will surprise me. So this is what the package looks like. Note that underneath where it says molten chili chicken, that there's a spice meter there that goes up to 6 peppers, and all 6 are lit up. This is the spiciest that their fire woks go. The instructions for making these are pretty simple, not 100% typical of what I'm used to for ramen, but basically I'm just gonna rip off the top, toss the seasoning and vegetable pouch in there, add room temperature water up until the line, which who keeps room temperature water in their house, really? Like, unless you have like spring water you have sitting out, not in the fridge. Who's gonna have room temperature water? Whatever, I'll do the best I can. And basically nuke it, then add the fire sauce afterwards, stir it up and enjoy. Tear off the lid. What's in the round box? This must be the seasoning packet. It's freaking huge. That's a lot of seasoning, bub. There's your little vegetables and herbs and stuff. This is the fire sauce. And there's your ramen. All right, fair enough. For the sake of my own OCD, I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of poke and swish this around a little bit with my chopsticks to make sure that all the powdery dry stuff gets some wet on it before I put this in the microwave. There we go. I feel like I'm doing myself a service by doing so. Then it says to nuke it for 5 minutes if you have a 1000-watt microwave oven, which I do. So it hath, doth, been, nuketh. I'm just gonna go ahead and stir these up. Haven't added the fire sauce yet. I'm just a little bit curious because there's a pretty good aroma coming from the microwave as this got closer to completion. Based on the way it feels with my chopsticks, bit of an al dente there. I want to know better when I try it, of course, but I was just kind of curious. I just want to taste a tiny bit of the broth before I add the fire sauce because I'm curious, because it does smell good. I'm just gonna take a little bit, tiny bit of broth. I don't want to take away too much because the last thing I want to do is lessen the dilution power of this with the fire sauce, because based on the reviews I read, this is pretty hot stuff. So I want to go ahead and just taste this right quick. Give that a little dab. Just a tiny bit more. I can't really taste it. A little savory. Well, I tell you what, without even adding the fire sauce packet, it's a bit spicy already. I got a little tiny hint of an afterburn back in my throat. Not a bad thing. A little bit on the salty side, no surprise, right? For the most part, the broth kind of tastes like what I remember cup noodles tasting like. Maybe just a hint more exotic for this particular one. So for the sake of preserving the amount of fire sauce, and also to protect my fingers, I went ahead and cut the top of this with scissors because I didn't want to take a chance tearing it and having it hit my fingers rather than the soup. Pour that in. And there's not a ton of sauce. I mean, look at that. It is blood red and then some, as if a sample of blood were drawn from a fiery demon. Before we get into the actual taste, let's just go ahead and mix this in. You know what I mean? I can tell you right now, my face is a good like 2 feet from this as I'm stirring this, and I can smell the heat, and it's already starting to clear my sinuses a bit, which is interesting because my sinuses are not in the least bit stuffed. So here we are, Angela. My first comment is about the sauce. It isn't very soupy. There's barely more sauce than what's needed to wet these noodles. I'm kind of salivating because it does smell good and I am pretty hungry, but there's a part of me that's a bit intimidated by the amount of heat that this is supposed to have and the way it smells. Let's go ahead and just take a look here. These noodles. I mean, take a look at this bad boy, huh? I guess it's time for me to man up and take the Nissin Firewalk Challenge. Let's go for it here. The noodles don't look so bad. I like the thickness of it. It's not like super thick, but it's not like angel hair either. So it looks like, I mean, visually looking at this, looks like the sauce is clinging to the noodles really well. And at this distance from the noodles to my face, I can feel my eyes getting watery from the fumes of this. So this looks like it might be the real deal. All right, you know what they say, God hates a coward, right? Let's go for it. First thing is, it's definitely hot, no doubt about it. I was hit with the flavor first. The flavor's not terrific, but it's not that bad. Considering that this is a cheaper ramen, you see it on the shelves everywhere all the time. It's a step or two up from being purely generic. Typically with those type of ramens, the flavor is usually not fantastic, but it's all right, it's edible. But I get hit with the flavor first. I slurped the noodle, didn't burn the outside of my lips. So I've had hot wings where just touching the outside of my lip made my lip feel like it was on fire. My lips do not feel like they're on fire. My tongue right now, I mean, I can feel there's some heat there and it's just a little, you know, just coming off of there. It's not crazy. Back of my throat's getting hit with it a little bit more, but even then it's not like, oh my God, it's so hot yet. I mean, I only had one slurp. If you're not someone who can handle their heat or not very experienced with the heat stuff, you don't want to start with this. This is a little bit up there, but let's go ahead and get some more. It's not a bad flavor. I wish it was a little less salty so I can enjoy it better, enjoy the flavor, but you know, it is what it is. Let's go ahead. I want to get a nice, there we go. I'm just trying to be careful not to get into my eyes and not to get too much of my fingers because I don't want to rub my eyes afterward and regret it. But let's go ahead and get some of this. Same deal. Flavor first, a little bit salty. I'm not sure how to describe the flavor to you. If I didn't already know this was a chicken flavor, I probably would have had a hard time guessing that it was a chicken flavor. It tastes like some kind of protein there, but it's hard to tell. And I don't know if it's just there's not a lot of chicken flavor or if the heat's kind of taking that away from it. I mean, I'm 2 slurps in and I'm not dying, but I mean, there's some heat there. There is a hint of a sweetness to it, and maybe that's part of the chili recipe. I mean, it's not bad tasting. Let me see here. I want to get a nice, here we go, huge amount here. So after this, if I slurp all of this that I'm holding up now and it's not destroying me, then I think that's going to be very telling. I dropped something. Let me grab more. I want to get a little bit more just to make sure I actually got that. At least that amount. It's probably going to be more than what I showed you. But just fine. Go ahead. I'm starting to sniffle, right? My nose is starting to run a little bit. My eyes are running a little bit. So there's definitely heat, but so far, and maybe it needs time to build up, so we'll give it a benefit of the doubt, but so far, it's not matching my expectation based on the reviews, the heat meter, spicy meter on the bowl, nor the aroma that I got from it. I purposely didn't really wipe after this slurp because I wanted to see if my lips were going to start burning, because that tells you something too about the sauce. I don't know if you can see this or not, but so I'm about halfway through, or maybe almost halfway through. Let me be a little conservative here. Let me say that I'm not quite halfway through the bowl yet. And let me take a nice, I'm trying to get a nice big amount. The thing about these noodles is that they're very slippery, so they're not staying on the chopsticks very well. Thankfully, I haven't dropped any on the floor yet. But I want to get myself to a point where I've had at least half the bowl to make the next comment. Okay, I got a lot more sauce in those bites. So yeah, it's definitely hot. Not to be barbaric, I'm not wiping my lips right in the moment because I want you to see that they're on there. My lips aren't burning at all. Normally, that would be a great thing. I'm like, yay, my lips aren't burning. My cheeks aren't burning from smearing sauce on there, because that is one of the worst parts of having a heat experience. So with this last bit, it is enough to give me a runny nose, make my eyes water a bit. So, I mean, it's definitely hot. Like I said, the flavor is okay. It's edible. But To give you a comparison, if you've seen my pork belly and fiery hot ramen video, I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. That was significantly hotter than this. In fact, I try to be brave and not let on how bad that ramen was burning me in that video. You know, after I stopped filming, I felt ill. I'm not gonna have that problem with this. And just to show you right now, actually, I'm about, let me see here. I'm about, I would say more than 2/3 of the way through, and I'm just now starting to feel, here's the thing. When I took that last slurp, yes, I got hit with a lot of heat because I took in a big amount of sauce. It was the biggest hunk of noodles that I ingested at once. And I was kind of unprepared, so I kind of swallowed it funny. But it's been like, what, like a minute or so since I took that, and I already feel like heat dying down. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat more of this. I mean, it's edible. I don't like to waste food. Honestly, like, I wouldn't make this ramen for somebody and like take credit. I'm like, yeah, this is some good ramen. This is more like, there's no other ramen in the house. You really want ramen, this is what you're getting. And by the way, it's kind of hot. Here, let me go ahead and just take more of this. Again, with this noodles, it's hard to get a lot with my chopsticks. I don't usually have this problem with ramen, but for some reason here, let me go ahead and just kind of. Even with the ramen that I had in that pork belly video, it was burning my lips. It was burning any area outside of my lips that they made contact with. It was burning like the tips of my fingers that were touching the ramen. And I'm not having that with this at all. Like, it's not burning anything other than like barely burning my tongue, burning me a little bit in the back of the throat. Considering that this is called a fire wok and that this is the top level of heat out of the flavors that they have, I gotta say I'm not terribly impressed as far as that goes, because I've seen other ramens that were just like, oh, you know, spicy, that were hot, definitely significantly hotter than this, and it was kind of torturous to eat. This isn't torturous. It's hot. I like that it's hot. I'd rather have a ramen that tasted better, that maybe wasn't as hot as this, than having this. And it's, you know, again, if you're not used to heat, this is definitely hot. I mean, you're gonna be like, whoa, all right? But if you're used to heat, you're gonna be like, all right, I mean, there's something. Just gonna eat a little more. I'm just being careful that my dog doesn't walk over because I dropped one little piece of noodle on the floor. I don't want her to eat it for obvious reasons. So as far as flavor goes, as far as quality goes, it's about what I expect from this one. It's basically a cup noodles version of some hot ramen. As you can see, I mean, I'm still eating it. It tastes good enough to eat. Obviously the heat's not bothering me at all. I'm gonna go ahead and use this spoon here and just kind of scoop up some more. Again, the flavor, I don't know. It's good enough to eat, but other than that, it's almost annoying the way it tastes. There you go, all done. So either this is not all that, or I'm not that great, or somewhere in the middle, because obviously I beat the Nissin Fire Wok Challenge. A little bit of a runny nose, watery eyes, you know, and in case you haven't noticed, not once reached for my drink. I have a coffee over here with a little bit of cream in there. You know, figured that dairy might help me. I have a juice over in that corner. Not necessary. The only reason I need right now to drink those is because my mouth is so salty. It's so salty, it's making me thirsty. But heat-wise, nah, guess I was worried about nothing, huh? So recap, Nissin, hot and spicy, Fire Wok. I took the challenge. I mean, they even say on here, on the label, take the challenge, fiery chicken noodles coated with spicy yet tangy Korean chili pepper sauce that builds the heat with every bite. I will admit that the heat did get a bit stronger as I was going, but I mean, as far as a challenge goes, I mean, anybody who eats hot stuff competitively is gonna laugh at this. And I'm not a competitive eater. I'm definitely not that level of heat tolerant to be competing with anybody, you know, and I aced that. Chicken flavor, again, you wouldn't know it was chicken if you didn't read it on here. Chili part, yeah, flavor's okay. Heat, I mean, it's definitely there. I would give that like I would say the heat is like a decent medium based on, you know, my expectations. And that's really it. I didn't know until yesterday that there are 3 other flavors of the hot and spicy firewok. My store only had this flavor, but had the other 3 flavors been there, I probably would have grabbed the volcanic Mongolian beef. It's the only other one out of the 4 that's at that same heat level. I'm a big fan of Mongolian beef, and it just would have been interesting to try because I don't see that very often with ramen. If I gotta go with Nissin, I might as well try to go for the best possible flavor. But based on this, I'm not even sure if it would have tasted like Mongolian beef anyway, regardless. So how about you? Have you taken the Nissin Hot and Spicy Firewok Challenge? How'd you do? What'd you think? Did you try other flavors? Do you like it by any chance? Do you think maybe this flavor is like the least tasty of the 4 and the other ones are better? Do you want me to try it? I mean, obviously I can handle the heat on this. I mean, if this is the top level, then the other 3 are gonna be no problem. Do you want me to try it? Or you want to comment on it? Unless you think it's tasty, I don't know. I don't think I really want to go and do this again because this wasn't all that enjoyable other than knowing that I can handle their heat. Either way, let me know in the comments below. What do you think of Nissin? And you tell me, what's your favorite spicy ramen? Like, what brand do you gravitate towards? I happen to like Nissin and Buldak. Those 2 they're my favorites, and the Buldak in particular definitely hits you with the heat by default. You get the regular ramen, if they even indicate at all that it's spicy, it's gonna nail you. And then if you get the one that's extra spicy, I'm not even sure I'm up to that level yet. Thank you so much for watching Starr Quality Kitchen. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and stalk. I already finished this kind of ramen. I guess I'll just say laters with a sip of my coffee to wash down the salt that's in here. By the way, the heat's completely gone already. Laters.